Hello, I'm Dr. Uliana, or often known as Dr. Regina, psychologist at the Student Health Services. With me today is Dr. Sanchez, occupational therapist, also at Student Health Services. We want to discuss with you today how to focus on your studies. Whether you are on campus or given the pandemic and the various situations you are now addressing and needing to adjust to, we will present both general and specific ways to help you focus on your studies. We are going to cover 3 major areas, so stay with us on this video. Dr. Sanchez will present the first area. She has attached some applications for you to use when studying. Let me also mention that the Student Health Services has several videos for your viewing related to how to make this period and future times less stressful. In addition, and most important, is that Student Health Services continues to offer their medical and mental health services via telephone or Zoom. If you would like to speak directly with a medical or mental health provider, please call Student Health Services and stay tuned for upcoming events and videos. The number is 909-274-4400. Now, Dr. Sanchez, please explain some of your apps and give a visual.
Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Regina. As Dr. Regina mentioned, it may be harder to focus on your studies given the pandemic and all of our personal situations. But thankfully, there have been a lot of great advances in technology over the years, and apps that have been designed with the specific purpose of helping us stay focused in mind. What I'm going to do is just go over a few apps that I know about that can be useful if you are having a difficult time staying focused. So the first app that I want to talk about today is called the Tomato Timers. How this app works is that it uses preset study timers and preset timers for breaks. This allows you to be able to focus and take breaks as needed. The Tomato Timer also allows you to use something called the Pomodoro method. How the Pomodoro method works is that you study for a preset amount of time, and then you take a short break, then you study again, and then you take another short break, and so on until about 3 rounds, where instead of taking a short break, you now take a longer break. On this Tomato Timer, the preset study timer is preset at 25 minutes. The short break is preset at 5 minutes, and the long break is preset at 15 minutes. However, as everyone is unique, one thing that is very nice about the Tomato Timers is that you are able to customize your timers. So if these times aren't conducive to your studying, you are able to modify these times. So maybe instead of studying 25 minutes, maybe you want to study for 30 minutes. Maybe you want to take a 5-minute break, and maybe you want to take a 20-minute break when it's your longer break. By allowing you to change these timers, you can dictate how long you are able to focus, and you are able to take a long enough break to not become overwhelmed during your studies. Another really nice thing about this app is that you are able to set timers on a loop, meaning that once you go through the study times and the short breaks and the longer breaks, you don't have to worry about resetting the timers. This app will automatically reset them and play them back on a loop. Now, there are also lots of other apps out there that use the Pomodoro method. So if this method sounds interesting to you, feel free to check out what other apps are out there and if one of them might work better for you than this one. If this type of app doesn't sound like something that would work for you, maybe the Forest Stay Focused app might work better. This app can be used for people who have difficulty staying off their phone. The way this app works is that you get to grow a forest on your phone while you study. This means that you are not on your phone on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, or anything else. The longer you stay focused, the more your forest grows. If you go on your phone and get distracted from your studies, then your forest dies. So it incentivizes you to stay off your phone and to stay focused. The Forest app is available on the Google Play Store and on the Apple Store. Another similar app to the Forest Stay Focused app is called the Flora app, which is also available on the Apple Play Store. Another option is to use an app block. An app block works just like it sounds. It blocks apps. Now, depending on the type of app block, you might be blocking apps for certain times of day, like 3 to 7 p.m., or for certain lengths of time, like for 2 hours. I have been told that many iPhones already come with app blocks, but if your phone doesn't already come with an app block, or if you simply want to download an app, you can get one from the Play Store. Now, the last time I checked, all of these apps that I just mentioned are free. But of course, these apps are just a few of the apps that are out there. So feel free to find one that works for you if you feel that an app would be helpful to you.
Please examine Dr. Sanchez's applications. Or you can look at the videos the Student Health Services provides. Or you can go on YouTube and look at study guides and applications they offer for students. Now, part 2. Please sit back and listen with your favorite beverage. We will take you on another journey. You have or will be starting a new semester. We want to discuss ways to work on improving your study habits. If you already have ways that you have found helpful, let us know. Or maybe you can consider improving what you already find successful. We have a comment section at the end of this video. We encourage you to share your strategies so we can all learn together as a community. Reviewing the comments will also give us better ideas to refine what we present today. Today, I'm going to ask Dr. Sanchez some open-ended questions. She has recently completed her doctorate and is a good candidate for asking what helped her focus on her studies. As you listen to these questions, answer them yourself to bring you into this dialogue format. Hello, Dr. Sanchez.
Hello, Dr. Regina.
Let me ask you, how did your studies go this year for you? Tell me what you did to help you focus your attention on your studies.
Well, for me, what helped me focus was having my eye on the prize. So whenever I felt like I just didn't have any motivation or I wanted to do anything but study, I would remind myself of why this is what I wanted to do: to get my doctorate, to get a good job, to have a good life. And that as soon as I was done, I could cross this thing off my list and not have to think about it anymore. And in fact, just crossing things off my list, that feeling was actually really rewarding for me too. Another thing that really helped me focus was having some kind of reward to look forward to. So like on really tough focusing days, I could play a game on my phone after I read a page of my readings. Or after I finished an assignment, I could watch some YouTube or an episode of a show on Netflix. Or I simply just couldn't call my boyfriend or a friend until after I had gotten a certain amount of work done. So having something to look forward to was very huge for me.
Over the time you have been studying, you may have encountered difficulties mastering your assignments. Please describe those difficulties you experienced.
Well, when I first started college, I didn't really have any study strategies in place. So you can say that I struggled to get the grades that I wanted when I first started college. I started trying to memorize everything and just ended up overwhelming myself and still not getting all the information that I needed from my classes. Eventually, I realized that I didn't have to memorize everything or study nonstop. Once I learned what study strategies worked for me and what type of environment is best for me, my grades started improving. More recently, though, when everything started transitioning online because of COVID-19, one difficulty I faced was just staying focused and motivated. For this, what was really helpful was having Zoom study dates or work dates with a friend to help hold us both accountable to finishing our assignments.
Give me some examples of the difficulties you had.
I remember one of the frustrating things when I was working on my bachelor's degree was that I would study for hours on end and I wouldn't retain enough information. Definitely, the way I was approaching studying wasn't working for me, and that was something that I had to learn. But that's also a topic for another video. Today, we're focusing on focusing. So maybe pacing my study times might have been helpful. I honestly can't remember how often I took breaks back then, but I'm sure that would have been useful.
What did you do to overcome these difficulties?
Simply just trial and error. I took advice from professors, friends, lots of people. And I tried different things until I found what worked to get me the results that I wanted.
Well, give me an example.
Well, I remember there was one class that I was really struggling with. On the first day of class, the professor had said that in order to do well in the class, we should skim the book chapter before class, attend the class, and then reread the chapter after class to get a full understanding. So I tried that. And skimming before class did help some, but this whole process took a long time and it just wasn't working for me. Another thing I tried was color coding my class notes, and this also helped me some. Ultimately, I ended up combining different things that I found helpful. So for example, I always read the material before class and I color code my notes. And obviously I attend class.
If you did seek out friends for their help or some authority, explain how it went for you. Explain what help they offered.
I did ask friends who were getting good grades in the classes that I was struggling with what they were doing, and I also attended office hours. This went really well because people were super helpful. Friends told me what they did, professors offered their suggestions, but again, it was a lot of trial and error.
As you reflect on what you have learned during your studies, what changes are you likely to make to improve your study habits?
At this moment, I think that I have figured out what works best for me to study. But as things change or unexpected things happen, like COVID, I'm sure that I will just have to make changes in order to adapt.
Dr. Sanchez, now let me ask you, what was it like to review your study habits today?
I enjoyed reviewing my study habits. A lot of students struggle with this, and it's helpful to remember what it was like to be in their shoes. I also think it's something that we need to do more often because the changes we make in our lives can become so second nature that we forget about how we used to do things and the journey that we took to get where we are today. So I enjoyed doing this.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. As you noticed, In a short set of questions, I asked Dr. Sanchez to reflect on her experience. Now, for the third part of this journey, let me ask the listener to consider a few things. Reflect. If there is anything I want to emphasize today, it's to reflect. How to study and focus involves reflecting on what you are studying. Reflecting on what you learned in class. Reflecting on your reading. Reflecting helps mind development. If you are reading a page of a text or reading a book or doing some practicum, stop and ask yourself, what did it say? Or what were the steps I just did? If you can't answer these questions, then you've gone off on a tangent. Why is that? Most often it's either something you didn't understand or something you had a question about. To simply say you don't like this subject is not an answer. Stop. Take your time, go through the text carefully, make notes if you have to. Please be respectful that as you take the time and patience with your studies, you will learn to improve, as you heard Dr. Sanchez say, that as she observed and reflected on her study habits, she discovered better ways to improve her focus on her studies. It will be a task as anything we learn. There will be difficulties, but remember you are in college, an important goal you have set for yourself. And as you stay with your studies, hopefully it will become easier, and hopefully your studies become more enjoyable and interesting. Being time-wise. The second thing to consider. Setting the time to study regularly gives you time to review and reflect. 9/10 of wisdom is said to being time-wise. We have added a schedule you can fill in to help you be time-wise. It's your personal schedule. Dr. Ann and I will playfully design a schedule, but given your particular situation, these areas can be filled in by you to make them personal and relevant to you. First, fill in the times of your scheduled classes. If you independently do classes, set a time you can schedule them regularly. Give some time before and after to set up the computer. Next, add at least 2 hours for each unit of that class each week when you can do your homework for that class. If you are having difficulties, add in extra time during the week for that class. If you find the class easy, then discover how you can learn something more about that topic. Next, add if you have other school obligations as labs, practicums, music practice, sports practice, scheduled games, concerts, clubs, and/or meetings, special meetings, or other college activities you will be doing this semester. If you work, include the hours you will be working and commute time. It may look ominous. If you look at the schedule, you may find that you are truly putting in a work week. 13 units and 26 hours for studying is almost a 40-hour work week. It may appear ominous, but it's also important to recognize you have set college as primary for now. And so in some way, it is like a job. Although it may appear ominous, don't forget, it's your personal schedule. So let's not forget friend time and relationship time and family time and religious time and private time. It may not seem like you have much time. Include the right amount of sleep, right nutrition, and exercise. Now, most importantly, be fair and communicate your schedule with others. Put the schedule on a refrigerator or on your bedroom door or over your bed where it is visible to you and others. You have set your college career as primary for now, so classes and homework are important. But be creative and flexible. Have fun with your schedule. Talk about it with your friends. Share your schedule so each knows your obligations and your free times. Make it part of your life and your world. A routine helps you and others around you to reduce or avoid chaos. For example, before the coronavirus, I had a student who drove home right after class. In traffic, it took 2 hours, and when he got home, he had family obligations and no time to study. We talked, and he learned he could change his schedule. He studied for 2 hours instead of driving in traffic. He left when traffic was less and got home about the same time. He was less stressed as he already had done his studies, and his family was happier because of it. Now, many of you are online. You may discover different ways of how you best can use your time. Being creative and flexible is important. If you want more help, please contact Dr. Sanchez. Next, being situation wise. Some of you may like to study while listening to music or having the noise of the TV. Keep these as background noise and not something you attend to. Or some of you may have gone to your local coffee shop or out in the park among the trees, or in your car, or in quiet room or library. Some of these spaces we mentioned are not available to you at present. So each of you needs to ask yourself, what's the best way I can study and have minimal distractions? If it's at home, it's important to let family members know what conditions you need if you can. Or if not, then maybe you will need to find how you can fit your study time in. As a personal example, I would get up at 1 a.m. and study till 4 a.m. It was quiet, no cell phone, no TV, nowhere to go, no friends calling or me calling them because they are asleep. I would go to bed early to assure I got my rest, which didn't make my family happy, but they respected it. I would then go back to bed for 2 hours and woke up at 6. Now, this is how I worked with my circumstance. During these morning hours, I would focus on studying. I actually enjoyed even the difficult classes as I was more relaxed, to be confused, and to have time to figure out what I was confused about and make notes on areas I needed tutoring on. It also provided the time to reflect on what I was studying. I can't emphasize this enough. It's in the reflecting, it's in the reviewing, it's in the preparing that sets your mind into a routine. Now today, you have different circumstances. Early morning times like I set out doesn't mean it's time to talk to friends or get online and play video games. The best thing to do is to remove yourself of these distractions, cell phones, video games, and put them where you won't consider them. In other words, you are setting limits or boundaries around yourself so that you can focus on yourself and your studies. Remember, what you want to do is train your mind to have the same energy as you have in your distractions. Or you can use one of the applications that Dr. Sanchez has suggested and set up blocks to stop your distractions. Being study-wise. What can you do to help focus on the subject? Once you have set the conditions, take a deep breath, And using the points in the meditation and mindfulness video that Student Health Services provides, take that mindfulness into your studies. Let's consider your math, your English, your fashion designer class, your biology class. Whatever the classes you are taking, it's important to schedule the time for yourself to study and reflect. Number one, before each class, review what you are expected to do for that class that day. That way, if you have questions, you can see how the professor addresses them. If you still have questions, go to the various resources the college offers or the support programs. After each class, before you get on your cell phone or going to your next class, stop and reflect for a minute and ask, what was discussed in the class you just left? It doesn't matter how much you remember. Just start practicing what you recall were the main parts as best as you can. Remember, after each class, recall what the main points were. If you are lucky to have a break, schedule the time to do any assignments after the classes. Remember, what you want to do is study routinely, keeping in mind your own speed of learning and maybe even different ways of learning. That is, making notes, talking into a tape recorder, taking a walk and reflecting on what you were studying, or just sitting back and reflecting on what you just studied. Or you can include your friends and make it part of your time with them. Each can review what your classes were about. Do this regularly, and you will find, as any sports athlete or musician will tell you, a change in your performance. In other words, what you dreaded, feared, complained to yourself about, hopefully will slowly go away. And if you find the class easy, ask what you can learn in addition, given the time you've set aside for studying. Here's your meditation for studying. Study, reflect, return to check what you missed, add what you missed to your understanding, repeat again. Study, reflect, return to check what you missed, correct, add that to your understanding, repeat again. The idea of studying is to improve. That's what learning is. At the end of each day, or as part of your study reflections, you can ask yourself 3 questions. What did I learn or do well at today? What areas do I need to improve? And then, how can I improve those areas? If you continue to have problems focusing, contact a mental health counselor at Mount San Antonio College Student Health Services so they can make the proper referrals or can give you some time to talk about any problems you are having. What would you like to add, Dr. Sanchez?
I think that was very well said, Dr. Regina. I would just like to emphasize something you said. We all need time to learn, so it won't happen overnight. Please be patient with yourself. Also, I would just like to say that what we talked about today is not a cookie-cutter approach. It may take some trial and error, but it's important for you to find what is going to help you and fit your specific needs. Thank you, Dr. Regina.
And thank you, Dr. Sanchez. And for all those listening, please leave your comments. Thank you.